Hello and welcome back to today's Skylines. Ladies and gentlemen, today is part 25 of our vanilla Let's Play. We are here just in front of the science center that we placed in the previous episode, and off in the background to the left, you can just about make out the shape of the fusion reactor that we also happen to build, that I'm so happy we've built, because it means we could get rid of the nuclear power plants that we had, and it also means we are never going to need to worry about electricity at any point ever again. That is, of course, unless I suddenly need 16,327 megawatts of power for the city, but currently we don't even need 1,000, and we have 76,000 people living here, so I think we're okay. I don't think we need to worry too much about ever needing more electricity than we currently have. The good news as well is that we are finally making money again. There was a period of time where we weren't really generating that much revenue, so hopefully things will stay the way they currently are. It's definitely looking good, $11,000 just there. We also have the observatory that we built last episode as well, which I absolutely love. I didn't realize you could see inside this, but yeah, you absolutely can. I love the benches, actually. I love that those are a thing. They legitimately just have some benches set in there. That's quite cool. But yeah, that thing looks pretty cool. Absolutely love how it looks up in the mountain there. And it does look like there are a couple of buildings that I am going to want to, well, I say buildings. Ruined buildings that I'm going to want to just bulldoze there. I am not really seeing any others anywhere else, which is great news. The death wave is well and truly over. And as I mentioned in the previous episode, any abandoned buildings that we have, such as this one, will eventually get replaced within a minimum of 4 weeks in game. So we can just leave that building alone. Eventually it'll get bulldozed, and eventually something else will build there if the demand exists, which it currently does, as we have some medium demand for residential, medium demand for commercial, and low demand for industry or offices. Now, what I would like to do today is work on this space over here, because as I've mentioned before, I sort of want to make it a almost Beverly Hills style area. I think it's Beverly Hills. Basically, the upper parts of LA. If you've played Grand Theft Auto 5, then you know what I'm talking about. The area where Michael lives, that part. I think that's Beverly Hills. I might be mistaken, but I think it is. Whatever the case, that's what I'd like to work on today. So it is basically going to be a very fancy suburb. So what we're going to need to do is, first off, pull out this train line, because we really don't need it here anymore. And honestly, I think I might just run it underground, because that's the train line that comes out over here. And I don't think having a big old cargo train line sort of right there in the middle of our Beverly Hills area is for the best. So I'll just... Oh, now hold on a minute. Getting that underground is going to be a little bit tricky. Well, possibly. I mean, that, I suppose, kind of works. It's a bit steep, but I think that's what I'm going to have to do. So let's run to there and bring it up like that. And then I think we can pretty much just run this straight... no, that's a problem. It can go lower. Then come back up and then connect, I guess, sort of straight through there and straight to there. And then if we go down a little bit, bulldoze that bit. That was a building, and we are pretty good. So that cargo train can still connect to this cargo train station just over here. But we no longer have the train line itself going through this spot, which is pretty good. So what I'll do now is get myself the terrain editor. And I'd like to just flatten some of the terrain here. Maybe we'll go with full strength brush, like so. This does give us a fair bit of soil. But the good thing here is that if I flatten this out, I can then go ahead and smooth it. And hopefully we'll have a bit less of a steep hill here. So if I do that, up the size of the brush, and start smoothing things, we should see a much, much nicer slope eventually. It's going to be a bit of a pain because the vanilla terrain editing that came in, I believe it was update 1.4. I think it was. I think that's the video I did on the... I think that was the one City Skylines update video that I did. But these terrain tools are kind of slow. But that's alright. They're getting the job done. Just got to make everything nice and even, and I think that looks kind of decent to me. Yeah, that's not so bad. Still a bit steep, but I can make it work. What I do really want to do, though, is I want to go up here with this bit of avenue. And I want to do the same here. And I want to do the same, well, maybe up there, we'll see. I want to get this avenue here, though, because I want to basically have a little bit more zoning along here before we start branching out into this sort of interesting-looking suburb. So if I do that as well, and then I can connect across here with just a fairly regular road, I suppose. So if I do that and that, the zoning looks alright. Looks fine to me. This bit here, I think I'm just going to do an extra little stretch of road so that people have a reason to sort of turn left there. And as for over here, I think what I might do is just run this road straight through like that. Yeah, that looks kind of interesting to me. I don't really think people will use this road as a way to get through to here. I think it still would be quicker to just follow the avenue, so this looks alright to me. We are going to need to get rid of some of the zoning, though. So let's just do that so I can see what exactly we're dealing with. So get rid of all of you guys, and if you could all demolish, that would be just nice. That'd be just great. There we go. And get rid of all of that as well. Okay. So what exactly are we dealing with? Definitely a bit of weird terrain. Looks like it's mostly because of the metro station, to be honest. Well, no, it looks like, yeah, it's probably also because of the other train lines there as well. Definitely a bit of weird terrain, though, that hopefully we can deal with. As for here, I mean, this bit's just weird, really. Not a lot I'm going to be able to do with that, I don't think. Same with here as well. Which is kind of disappointing. I mean, I guess what I could do is if I just bulldoze all of these roads, like that, and we come over here for 10 units instead of 11, which is what I did originally. We'll go like that. Connect that to that end and connect that to that end. That has fixed all of the zoning, but just to make sure that things are consistently okay, I'll just put a pedestrian path down between all of the buildings. And I will also do that. And that. That looks okay to me. We bulldoze that a little bit, bulldoze that a little bit. Let's see. Can I make this just a little bit better? Not really. That didn't really work, did it? Let's go like that and that. Hold on. I'm just gonna go back to what we had because that actually worked. That'll do. Okay, that's not so bad. Unless I could connect to, no. Let's just leave it. I'm not fiddling with it. That's, there's no point. It's fine as is. Let me do a little connection there. And let me do a little connection there. And I think that'll be fine. We can put some, I'm gonna say residential zoning in this bit. Just the whole way up to there. And then I'm gonna say some commercial in those bits. And then offices in those bits. So that should be fine. But the thing is, I want that to be its own district because I want to do a high-rise ban on it. Because that way, it's going to do what all of the other kind of edge districts have done, which is that it's going to sort of make it look like the city's kind of feathering out a little bit. So that we don't have to deal with the, you know, very sudden change of, hey, giant building, hey, tiny building. So that's kind of my plan here. If we just do this kind of thing as well. Oh, that didn't really work. Okie dokie. Well, I guess this district can exist on the avenue. We're not going to be doing an old-time policy, so we'll do that. And Highland Square is fine, I suppose. We'll go with the vanilla style. We'll get ourselves the high-rise ban. And that seems good. All right, so those guys will hopefully build up and make something that'll look kind of interesting. Definitely a very long road, though. Very long and very uninterrupted. Oh my god, I couldn't speak there. I think what I might actually do is I might turn this into a one-way road. Let's see. If I turn that into a one-way road going down this way. just like that. So down to that bit. Hold on a minute. Did I have that going the wrong way? Apparently I did. There we go. So it goes down that way. I could also have a one-way road here. Sort of going the other way. But just like that. The whole way across. Now, apparently the slope's too steep there, which is kind of annoying, but I'll try and make it work in a second. But what I can do is have this one-way road going this way. Just the whole way down. And that, again, gives us kind of a nice little, you know, just different kind of road, I guess. A nice way to separate everything. I do, however, really want that to connect. It just apparently doesn't want to. Does that work? No. Oh, hold on a minute. Yes, it does. Okay. If I do that, and then delete you, and just make that a one-way road. I guess that's alright. It's a bit weird, but I guess it's alright. And then if I just get myself a bit of avenue in there, kind of works. Sure. I kind of like it. It's a bit weird, but I kind of like it as just a way to separate things. Now, for some reason, zoning's got a bit weird there, so what I'll do to make up for it is just a bit of pathway. Zoning got a bit weird there as well, so a bit of pathway there, too. Technically, we're probably going to want some in these spots as well, even though people can't really cross. I guess it'll just look alright. And yeah, that seems fine to me. It's a bit weird, but I mean, I think it's alright. I do. I think it's probably alright. It might work, it might not. I don't know. I don't think I want any zoning in between those roads. So let's just dezone that and dezone you as well. And get a bit of zoning in there. And maybe dezone you as well. Alright. So we'll see if this works. We can absolutely see. I like it though. It's a good way to go ahead and start feathering things out. Now, I don't really know what way to perfectly do this thing that I want to do. I kind of feel like maybe I should go in with terrain editing and sort of flatten the terrain a little bit in these areas and almost have like a cliff edge there. Kind of like that. So it's, oh, we don't have enough soil. All right, so we need to get some soil, which I can do in the water, I think. So if I go here and just sort of drop the terrain a little bit, that is giving me some soil, which is good. So just sort of, just drop the terrain in a little bit, make it a bit sharper, whatever. Just stealing some soil from there. But what I want to do is come over here and just flatten this out enough so that we have kind of got a cliff edge. There's a very noticeable edge. And I think that's alright. Not really as steep as I would have liked, but that's fine. We'll sort of do similar... We'll do all of that, right? So that's all nice and flat. And that's good. That's what we want to see. But then if I go up to this height and kind of do the same thing, so there's a couple of different tiers of height that we're dealing with here. Now the problem's obviously soil currently, which is just lovely. But I think it could be kind of cool to have those couple of layers. So maybe it's just going to be a case of like a road there and a road a little bit higher. So instead of having, you know, a windy, twisty suburb, we just have something that's kind of nice and simple and basic and not too complex. So let's just go and steal some soil from over here so that I can make my Beverly Hills knockoff a reality. And let's see. So we'll come in, level to that height, and go across like that, and we're out of soil again. Oh god, this is not really working, is it? We just don't have the soil. We really don't. See, this is why mods are useful. And that's, I'm not having a go, I've never liked the soil thing in in vanilla cities. It's always been silly. What I can do though is if I just like dig all of that out, I think we're fine. So just bring the terrain back a little bit, kind of like that. There we go, bring it in a little bit like that, so it looks like a bit rough, and there we go. We have a bunch of soil. Okay, so in theory, I can level this out again. There we go, kind of like that. bit around here. Bring it out a little bit so it's a bit uneven. Right. So that looks like it's almost there. Okay, what if I was to go, like, to that height and say smooth from there? That's what I want to see. Just a nice gentle slope. And then kind of the same at the other end. Just a nice gentle slope up like that. Then we'll smooth this bit out, just so it's nice and, well, gentle and even. And we can figure out the slopes down here and all in just a second. In fact, to be honest, if I went from that height down, that kind of works. All right. Not so bad. This bit definitely needs some smoothing. But that seems pretty good. That doesn't look too steep to me. So I like it. What I am going to do is I am going to turn that into an avenue. Because the avenue's probably going to have to be the way that we go up here. So let's see. Let's give it a, you know, a nice grass, tree-lined avenue, in fact. To like, we'll go to about there. And then what we'll do is do a tree-lined road. Sort of up to here. Through this whole area. Maybe a little bit closer to the hill. So something a bit like that. And kind of to about there. And try curving it around. Alright, that looks pretty good to me. I'm just going to try and keep it following the curves of the mountain. Which means it's going to be a very, very windy road, but that's alright. So that and that would be hell to drive, actually. Never mind. That's kind of silly. Let's just do some bigger curves as opposed to the little ones I've been doing there. So kind of have it go around like that. Then to about that point, and then down to there. Alright, so that's going to be the top one. There is space here where I can put another road, which I probably will do. But what I want to do is come off of there and bring this road sort of along the front of that cliff. Then around to there. And to about there. I like it. I do. It's going to look strange. That's for sure. It's definitely going to look strange, but I think I can make this work. Slash, I hope I can make this work. It may have taken a while, but I decided to go in and remove all of the trees, and whilst this may not look like much at the moment, I do have a good feeling about this. I think I can get some nice details in here. I think I can get some parks, a lot of houses, and I think this will work. I'm thinking that maybe, just maybe, having these hills is enough of a separation between the rest of the city and what's going to go up here. And what's more is that if I maybe use the vanilla theme as opposed to the European theme, I really should call it the international theme, because that's what it is. If I use the international theme up here, we're going to have some very fancy looking buildings. So I think that's what we're going to have to do to make this look distinctly different from every other suburb that currently exists just outside of the city. And so we have Hamilton Heights, which is currently set up with smoke detector distribution, recycling, parks and rec boost, and high-tech housing, and also has the vanilla theme set as what it's going to be building, I suppose. So we should see a bunch of buildings pop up. Now, that's interesting that that is apparently in the vanilla theme. I feel like it isn't. I want to say that's not part of the That's interesting. Let me have a quick look over here. What are you currently set as? You're the default style. Is the default style maybe what I'm looking for? I mean, you are fully leveled up, so maybe I just need to wait for that area to develop a bit before trying to figure out why exactly it looks a little bit strange. What I might do, though, and what I'm thinking is maybe a huge strip of low-density commercial zoning could be useful here. Just something like that, so that there are places for those people to shop. And I mean, that should be alright. I do absolutely want to go ahead and put some trees down in between all these buildings, though. And I definitely want to go up and start decorating a lot of this space. I'm also going to need to find a way to connect electricity up to these guys, which I'm hoping I'm hoping a connection here would work. So what I think I'll do is I'll go in here. And I'll grab something like the small playground. And if I throw it there, that should absolutely connect. Yeah, that does. Okay. That's perfect. Alright, so let's just throw a few playgrounds around this area. I haven't zoned everywhere, so we can absolutely get away with zoning some playgrounds. One there isn't going to hurt anybody. I realize I could have put it in there, actually, so I think I'll move it to, oh no, that won't work. Okay. Well, that's a shame. That's definitely a shame. I could have put it over here. Yeah, that works. Okay, small playground's gonna go there. Zoning is gonna go there. And there. And then I also want a playground just over this way as well. Maybe a large one, though. Maybe a larger playground could go in that space. That totally works. I'll hide these pathway connections in the corners a little bit later on with some trees once this area is built up. But I just want to make sure that this area is as nice as it can possibly be. I am going to have to sort of put some trees over here and all that stuff to, you know, make it look all right. But I think having that cliff and just having this the way it is a pretty good bet. What I am going to have to do, though, is go in and remove pretty much all the trees that I haven't already removed, because it just looks a little bit scruffy, I think. It's like the city had a beard. It was a very thick beard, and it shaved. Except now it's left with a bit of stubble that we still don't really want. So let's shave the city. You know, whoever lives up here is really lucky. That's a beautiful view. I do realize there are a couple of wind turbines that I might want to get rid of, though. And I think to the right of those, I can just spot some smoke. So I think something's on fire up there. But this is such a nice view. Yeah, so it turns out I was completely right. This building here was on fire. And there's the wind turbines. I also realized those wind turbines aren't really needed anymore. Those were there because this guy here, the old train station, didn't have any connections. But we don't really need those anymore. So that actually makes the view even better for whoever happens to live up in this space, which no one currently does. But I'm going to take advantage of that no one currently living there to go ahead and start working out some trees, which is a thing that we need to do. Now, what I am going to do is use my strategy that I used over here for the trees, which I think looks pretty good. And that strategy is basically use these trees, the big tall ones, and sort of just follow your road a little bit and space them out like this initially. So basically, you sort of draw a line of them, and I'm going to sort of follow this whole city around. I'm not going to go the whole way across because I will eventually build in there, but if we just sort of do this and then start doubling them up a little bit, kind of like this, just ever so slightly double them up, offset them a little bit here and there, but then just go around and kind of fill in that space again, maybe skipping one or two spaces here and there, and basically just taper either end so that it kind of comes to a point like that, and then this one here sort of comes around to a point almost kind of like that. So you have this kind of flow, you have this little kind of curved shape, which works really well, and then you just sort of keep building that up a little bit, and but sort of keeping the curve and keeping the tapered ends, so that eventually when you go in here, it will eventually be a bit more irregular. That's worth keeping in mind, because we will go in with some other trees and just, you know, make it a bit more irregular. But that's kind of the initial tree line that we're going to work with. I'm actually going to have to... I'm going to bring it a little bit over here as well. This is going to be a slightly separate tree line. It's not necessarily going to be connected, but it'll be close to being connected. Maybe have it just sort of curve out like that a little bit. Then in again. Kind of like that. I think that little gap looks alright. I might just take that out a little bit more like that. Alright, that looks alright to me. We'll just curve that over like that as well. That looks fine. What we do now is we come in with either one of these two trees. So we've got the light one, we've got the dark one. I'm going to go with the dark one initially, and I just sort of scroll back and forth, just spam clicking. Because these don't really go anywhere specifically. The majority of the tree line, the shape of the tree line, we dictate with the tall trees, but then we sort of flesh the whole thing out a little bit. And this is where it becomes irregular with the smaller trees. And we also add some more variations of color with the lighter trees eventually, and of course some oak trees, but we just do this kind of thing back and forth. Just clicking everywhere that we can. And it just thickens up the tree line a little bit. Then we go in with these lighter trees, and just the same kind of tactic, really. We just keep on clicking, and eventually we get a nice thick tree line, which is a nice buffer between the city and the highway. Just do that, put a couple in that middle bit as well. I definitely want to, you know, have a noticeable gap in here. I think that's kind of fun. And then if I just go in with some of the oak trees, these are going to be the smallest trees, but these are going to really make this thing just look a bit more dense. So just kind of done like that a little bit, keeping that kind of taper going on, and in there as well. And this might not be the ideal way to place trees for a tree line, but I mean, I'm not going for complete perfection. I'm just going for something that looks kind of decent. Something a bit like that. Maybe throw a couple of those trees in there, and a couple of those trees in there as well. And I think that looks okay. At least from this side, it kind of hides the highway a little bit. I think it looks alright. Now, this area in here, I'm absolutely going to do some more tree lines and stuff like that. I want a bit of a tree line sort of along here, but it's not going to be anywhere near as thick. It's just going to be a few trees dotted along like that, and then a bunch of oak trees as well, because those are kind of... excuse me. Those are the kind of trees that are, you know, mostly being used by all of the assets we're going to see around here. And just have it sort of curve around and follow the curvature of that bit of cliff. Kind of like that. And go over this way just a little bit too. And I think that looks okay. I actually kind of want to do that. So it kind of links up to the park, which I think looks kind of nice. There's something just a little bit like that. And a little bit like that. And then what we can do is just to add some variety, add a couple of those bigger trees. Just here and there. And some of the darker ones as well. Just here and there. And along there a little bit too. Alright, that looks pretty good to me. You know, it nicely separates this upper area and the cliff and all that stuff. I might do a little pathway in here, but I think it looks alright for the time being. Really, all I want is this upper area here to get built up so I can put some trees in that space as well. Well, it's building, and I'm really happy with how it's starting to look. Thing is, it might need just a little bit more detail here and there before I'm willing to consider it done. So, I've gone ahead and placed this park here, and all I want to do is just put some trees along the pathways to just make it look like there's a little something going on in this space in between all of the houses, because this would have been a pretty big space to not have anything in. So, those trees there, along with a few smaller oak trees as well, just to nicely detail the area. And then a couple just over this way as well, and around there as well. And then maybe one big tree there, and one of these trees, or maybe two of those trees there, and one of those ones just there. Just to add a little bit of variation. Still a kind of open area, but I think that's alright. I mean, as for the rest of the area, I've gone ahead and put some trees around this space and along the back a little bit as well, and kind of continued that tree line up this way a bit as well. And I think that's sort of helping the area come together a little bit. I do absolutely need to get a bit of detail in here as well and around all of these spaces, and I want to line this road with some trees here too, but I think I'm actually going to leave it there for today. It's a bit of a weird looking area, and it is still growing, but I like it. And yes, I am indeed going to leave it there for today. So, thank you kind of for watching. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been part 25 of our City Skylines. Almost said SimCity again. Of our City Skylines Vanilla Let's Play. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!